Hello and welcome to another exciting episode of The Legal Anchor. Today we are in downtown Kingston. Downtown Kingston is one of the major financial districts of Jamaica. With it being the financial district, it means that economy and commerce and trade is what is being driven in this country. So right here in our beautiful island of Jamaica, we see that the economy was doing very well prior to COVID. However, the COVID-19 pandemic has really taken a toll on our economy. But there's another economy that many persons are not thinking about and must not be neglected, and that is the blue economy. The blue economy refers to the ocean, the marine environment. How is it that the blue economy has become such a major role? The blue economy has always been there, but many persons have not given it the attention it deserves. The blue economy refers, as you know, to the marine environment. Now, it's not just the marine environment or just the fishing industry. There is carriage of goods by sea. There is the shipping of goods. It is a whole world out there, a whole different economy waiting to be exploited. But this exploitation needs to be done in a sustainable way, because the sea is a resource that can be depleted. And with it being a resource that can be depleted, it means that it must be done in a sustainable way. Sustainable ways meaning fishing in a sustainable way. Also, the transportation of goods and services need to be done in a way that ensures that the economy of the country and the environment is protected. We know how important our environment is. The marine environment is a very fragile environment, and we need to ensure that that is protected while we're exploiting the marine environment. And the trade by sea, we need to ensure that it is done in a way that can sustain for years to come, for generations to come. Marine parks, all of these things we'll be looking at today in the Legal Anchor. Today in the Legal Anchor, we'll be talking with an environmental lawyer, and not just an environmental lawyer, as well as we'll also be talking with an economist. This economist is an environmental economist, a marine economist, for me to be specific. And this marine economist will talk to us on how the environment and equally on how the economy will be of vital importance to the marine world and to the rest of the world to ensure that it is a vibrant economy. This economy has the potential to make countries billions of dollars. With that potential of making billions of dollars, we need to be exploiting it properly. So join me as today we will be talking with this gentleman who he will be guiding us as to how the marine economy will play a vital role in ensuring the longevity and probably the wealthiness of our beautiful island. So thank you very much, and I look forward to seeing you on the other side of the break.
Hello everyone, and welcome. As promised, I have here in my presence Mr. Alexander Gervan. Mr. Gervan is an environmental economist for approximately 10 years. In that space of time, he has been able to acquire a wealth of knowledge as it relates to the environment and how the environment impacts our economy. So, without any further ado, help me in welcoming everyone, Mr. Gervan. Mr. Gervan, welcome to the Legal Anchor.
Mr. Reed, thank you so much for having me here. It's really a pleasure to speak to you today about a little bit about what I do and you know, the information that's out there.
Okay, great. So, what the Legal Anchor aims at uncovering is various aspects of the marine industry, and it aims at trying to get persons sensitized to our industry. So I, as a maritime lawyer, have started this channel to try and get persons engaged in the conversation of the marine environment. And a major area in this marine environment is the blue economy. Now, this word is thrown around a lot. So maybe you can help define for my viewers exactly, what exactly is this blue economy that we've been hearing a lot about?
Well, Jermaine, I mean, that's a great first question. And, the blue economy is really, it seems like a strange concept, but really and truly, it already exists. The blue economy is economic activities that are happening in the marine or coastal space where we are extracting resources from our marine or coastal space. So, blue economy typically is something as familiar as fisheries. Our deep ocean fisheries or reef fisheries, even our mangrove fisheries are part of the blue economy. But there's something that don't seem as environmental, such as resource extraction, mining, extraction of oil and gas. All of those things are also part of what is considered the wider blue economy. And in the Caribbean, it's a very, very important part of the economy. It already is. Fisheries are very important for us and for foreign exchange, especially the high value products. But fisheries are also important for coastal peoples because they offer them some sort of economic resilience, Sure, we rely on tourism, which is also part of the blue economy.
Yes.
Tourism, but, if somebody loses a job from tourism, they can go to the reef and catch some fish. So it also offers economic resilience. So, the blue economy is basically any economic activity that's happening in the blue space, the marine coastal space. And the reason you're hearing about it more and more is because we think the blue economy is going to grow a lot because technology has been changing.
Okay, I noticed you used the word economic resilience. You said it at least 3 times just now. This economic resilience that you speak of this blue economy now, because we understand that what happens on the sea it would now be considered the blue economy, anything happening within our ocean space. So how does this resilience now help countries like Jamaica, as you've just said? How does it help us with diversifying and ensuring? Example, let's use COVID as a practical example. The COVID-19 came and it hit the world by storm. Now Jamaica is still suffering from the effects of it being a country that relies very heavily on tourism and agriculture. So how would the blue economy, let's say going forward, how would this blue economy help to mold and ensure that we're economically resilient? If, let's just say, another 20 years from now, we should hit another pandemic, because we will get out of this one, but we need to know, we now have it in our minds that this is something that can happen again. What would you say in terms of economic resilience assisting us in moving forward?
Well, I mean, I think, the blue economy, there are two sides to economic resilience. I think, there are some people that think that investing in the blue economy increases our risk. So it actually reduces our economic resilience because we're putting more and more resources on the coast. And we already have the effect of sea level rise and climate change. So some people actually think it has a negative effect. But in other regards, if you're able to diversify your economy, maybe, improve the amount of money you're able to earn from fisheries by treating them well, maybe increase the amount of new products you can find in the ocean, like seaweed. Maybe you can commercialize sargassum seaweed. Or maybe you even go outside and you say you're looking for oil, but you find some other mineral resource. So all of these things are ways in which the economy can be diversified. I mean, I don't think they're all good. I think some of the mineral resource extraction clearly has a negative effect on our environment, but it is one way of diversifying the economy by investing in other sectors beyond the traditional tourism and agriculture,
Okay, so really, thank you for that. So really, we should be looking at sustainable fishing practices and those kinds of things. So sorry, yeah?
No, go right ahead.
Okay, sure. So we should be looking at these sustainable fishing practices. So when we look at these sustainable fishing practices, what is an economical way for us to be doing our fishing? I know, for example, a country like Belize has a parrotfish regulation where there are either it's at certain times you can have a parrotfish or the parrotfish is not sold at all in some parts. Jamaica, for example, has just made mention that we should try and not eat the parrotfish as much because of its benefits to our marine environment. So how do you talk about sustainable fishing practices? Would that also fall within the remit of environmental economics?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. And the problem you describe, you know, to be able to extract more money from the resource has to be at the high, you know, at a healthy level. You know, if you're only catching juvenile fish, you're not really maximizing the return from the resource, right? You're catching babies, you know.
Yes.
Nobody is trying to harvest, you know, broiler chickens at half size. You know, nobody does that. So we should be using our fishery resources a little bit better. But the truth is, it's very difficult for coastal people who live on the coast. You know, people have to feed the children. You know, so it's quite hard. So I think if we want to get to some sort of sustainable fishery, well, first people may have to pay a little bit more for fish in the short term, but it will pay off hopefully in the long term. And as well, you know, maybe some sort of support needs to be offered to fishers to make them hold off from the resource. So, you know, they have insurance for certain industries, why you don't have certain types of fishers. So the fishery can take a break. You know, maybe you make a contribution for 4 years into this fund. And by making that contribution, you know, the fund invests the money somewhere else. And then maybe on the 4th year, the fishery resource gets a total break and you have some sort of other income or activity. So I think, you know, it's a little bit of pain initially because you have to reduce the pressure on the resource, but in the long term, it benefits you. But while you're reducing the pressure on the resource, AKA catching less parrotfish, something needs to be able to be done to compensate the fishers because, I mean, people have to eat, you know?
Yes. But then I guess you could look at it that we do have other types of fish you can eat. There's snapper, there's a whole heap of others. I mean, I will admit, in my opinion, the parrot is one of the nicest tasting fish. And I think a lot of people in the Caribbean are of that view. You go to the beach, a hellshire to have your fish. The majority of people want a parrotfish.
Yeah.
Yeah, there. So yes. So would that now come in? Tell me if I am wrong, if that would now fall under like a blue value trade. Would that be what we consider a blue value trade? And what exactly is a blue value trade?
No, well, I mean, you know, you mentioned this example of parrotfish earlier, and you mentioned that there's so many other fish in the sea, which makes me smile because, you know, in Jamaica we love parrotfish. You know,
yes.
in Barbados they eat a little bit of parrotfish, but they love flying fish. In Trinidad, never see a single Trinidadian eat a parrotfish before. Maybe you know, they don't eat the parrotfish. They like big fish, shark, and kingfish, those kind of things that we don't really eat that much in Jamaica. So I think the truth is the reason that fish tastes the best to us is because we know how to cook that fish the best. So, you know, the species, we need to teach people how to cook the fish, you know, the best way, because the truth of the matter is in Jamaica, we throw away, you know, people will catch tuna and they won't really eat it.
Yes.
And that tuna being served for sushi somewhere else in the world, you know.
And it's very expensive.
$100 a plate or whatever it is.
Yes.
So I think we need to figure out how we use those species more. As you said, I think you raise a very important point about undervalued species. Yeah.
Okay. Yes. So in terms of looking at how we're to do things sustainable, would a marine park then be something viable? And what exactly, for the viewers, I think it's best you explain a marine park, considering it's something that would really fall a lot in economics.
Well, I mean, a marine, I guess what we traditionally would call it is a marine protected area.
Yes.
And you have people who are protected area specialists. I mean, I have a little bit of an idea of how it works. I won't call myself a specialist, but the general idea is that you have a specific part of the ecosystem which is very productive, you know, and it needs some sort of protection, because if you lose that specific place, you know, you will lose a lot of the resources, you know. It's almost like Blue Mountain coffee grows in the highest mountains. It's almost like you would lose those mountains suddenly. So the idea is that you want to protect the best coral reefs, the best seagrass beds where the small fish are growing, developing and producing, and those fish will spill over into other places and you can get the bigger fish once they leave, you know. But the fact of the matter is if you have a free-for-all everywhere, people are just going to fish out all of the fish. So, you know, with protected areas, it's about reducing the fishery pressure on it. And the truth of the matter is in a place like Belize, it's not the police stopping the fishers, you know. Is the fishers stopping illegal fishers.
Okay, that's interesting.
Area, you know, they get benefits. You know, so sometimes you see somebody, and also you get tourism too, you know, you have better resources for snorkeling, etc. So you sometimes see a man, he'll go fishing in the morning, in the afternoon he'll run a tour boat, right? And while he's running the tour boat, you may put on a vest and say, listen, I'm going to do an inspection on that unusual boat over there, which don't look like a boat that we know. You know what I mean? So the marine protected area, if you manage it properly, can have benefits, you know, not just, you know, for the fishers around in terms of catching more fish, but also in the area in terms of tourism and also potentially income for the same fishers who are displaced, right? Because you must always, you know, people think environment is this scary bad word because it's you know, environment basically means no money. That's not the truth. You know, if you plan it properly, environment is supposed to mean more money, you know, but you really have to look at also who is being affected by the different policies, because they don't want to make a rich man richer and a poor man poorer. You know, that's wrong.
Yeah.
You have to consider that too.
So, in terms of looking at it from this angle, then, you would then say that the blue economy, does it have the power to surpass the traditional economy, if I'm, for lack of a better word?
I mean, that's a really,
if managed properly.
That's a very interesting question, you know. In the Caribbean, if you look at the size of Jamaica, you look at the size of the ocean around Jamaica that belongs to Jamaica. Jamaica look tiny, you know. It's a lot of ocean, you know. So some people call us small island states, some people call us big ocean states. We have plenty of ocean, you know. So I think, I mean, it really depends. It really depends on how technology moves, you know, how we're able to discover resources, how we're able to manage the fisheries. But the potential is very big, you know, because most of the ocean is unexplored, you know. Because it's unexplored and because we just don't really know out there, the potential is great, you know, but we don't really know exactly what it is. The big thing, however, to note is because it's almost fresh, you know, we think it has an unlimited capacity to absorb our bad behavior. And the truth of the matter is that's false. You know, the ocean is just like the atmosphere is a fluid, right?
Yes.
So the physics of the ocean is similar to the physics of the atmosphere. You can put a lot of things into it and it won't seem like anything is happening. And then suddenly, you know, everything will change. You know, the ocean circulation patterns may change and that will change how the fish move, you know, you just don't really know. So the potential for economic growth is huge, but we have to be very, 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 very careful because you know, we can't mess up again like we messed up with climate change. You know, just not worth it.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for that. That was very good insight as to our environmental, as an environmental economist, and also giving us into the marine environment. I believe that we've really taken a good look at and began the conversation on the blue economy and how we can now embark on making this blue economy one of the major earners of foreign exchange for not just Jamaica, but for the region. So in terms of doing that, your advice in closing, any advice you would like to give if there was anybody out there, if let's just say the Minister of Tourism or Fisheries, Agriculture and Fisheries should somehow hear this, what would you like to close off and say to him or her in terms of as an environmental economist as to how you think we could really get our economy to make us a lot of money?
Well, you know, the truth of the matter is we only bet on the horses that we know, right? So the horses we bet on are tourism and bauxite, right? And resource extraction. And the truth of the matter is, you know, you don't go to the horse race and only bet on one horse. You know, you have to not only bet on the other horses, but, you know, groom the horses and develop the horses. So in a strange way, I would say, listen, don't just look at fishing like a traditional jokey activity. You know, it's not a joke. It's not a, you know, I think that only simple people do. You know, if you look at other places in the world like Scotland, you know, fishermen, fisherwomen, they live fantastically, you know, because they're exporting the lobster to China for high value. So
exactly.
if you think of, you know, we have a tourism school, why we don't have schools on investment in fisheries? Why we don't have school and investment, you know, in other industries? And, you know, also what you do, it connects back to what you do so importantly, right? And the expansion of maritime education in Jamaica. Look at how that's expanded a whole new sector in Jamaican economic activity. We don't just, you know, sell the physical services related to maritime transportation and maritime economy. We sell, you know, the legal services. We sell the services in terms of people's human resources. You know, we export right now. You know, that went from, you know, not very much to a significant amount. So I would say look at the other subsectors in the maritime sector as major horses that we could bet on if we invest and groom and treat them properly. But, you know, I have to thank you and I have to thank the work that you're doing because, you know, the studying the legal structures that have existed previously, you know, are so important for understanding what we'll have to create in the future. Because the sea is going to evolve very quickly now as the blue economy grows. So we need more and more people like you.
And our laws need to be even more robust. And that would be what my word, if the minister is listening, my word to the government would be, we need to sit down and have a dialogue, put pen to paper as to how we're going to have more robust laws for our marine environment and also for the marine economy, the blue economy, laws that can be enacted to make ease of business in the blue space even better and promoting it in a way that is marketable not only to locals but foreigners. That would be my input to this whole blue economy and where we need to go as a nation in light of COVID. It's shown us that we really do need to diversify. Yes, it has been a trying experience for a lot of us, but it can be a growing experience as well. Out of it, we can learn that maybe this blue economy right here, as simple as that ocean looks, it holds a lot in store for all of us. So with that said, I thank you for tuning in, everyone. And it was a pleasure having Mr. Alexander Gervan as an environmental economist come and have brief words with us and get the conversation going on the blue economy. So once again, Mr. Gervan, I thank you for being on my show.
For having me. Yeah, man.
And to my yes, Mr. Gervan. And to my viewers, thank you for tuning in. I look forward to seeing you again for another exciting episode of The Legal Anchor. Goodbye.